Welcome back to the Fruity and 7 Developer Diary, where I've made some significant progress in the last, I don't know, week and a half. And I wanted to show some of that off here today. So you can see right away I have a bit of a makeshift title screen, which I've just thrown together some assets for a magical fairy force that I'm going to reuse. Everything is still temporary at this point. I don't have uh, a single thing in this image that is actually designed, or in this game, excuse me, that's actually designed for it. Everything is a placeholder at the moment. But hopefully that'll communicate what's going on and how the game's going and all that. So right away here, you see I have a temporary main menu put up here. And this illustrates the stuff I want to have in the game, although half of these things don't actually do anything yet, but they're there. And already, this is a much simpler game than Magical Fairy Force was in terms of content, so I'm hoping it's going to be a much faster turnaround in development. But we'll have to see about that. But one thing I did want to show off right away is this. Language. So internationalization is a topic that I've been interested in for a very long time, and I've really wanted to do a game that does this and does it properly. A lot of game programmers, for some reason, have this attitude that games are special and don't need to follow the rules that other programs do. And that's an opinion that I 100% reject that notion. I believe that games should be good citizens just like any other program and should follow the rules of the operating system and work the way that things are intended to work. So I've gone ahead and done internationalization for both Linux and Windows at this point, and I've done it the right way. The way the operating system wants you to do it, which is great, because now if you were to start this game up and your system would be set to say Spanish, the menus will be in Spanish because I'm doing it the right way. Now, I don't have a Mac build yet because I don't really have a Mac anymore, but I do hopefully sometime next year plan to get a Mac again and get a Mac build put together. And I actually know quite a bit about how you do internationalization on the Mac from my time working at Microsoft on the Mac Office team, although that was many years ago, so some of the details may have changed. But I'm also looking forward to getting it working on there. But this language setting default just pulls from your system settings. So it's whatever your system is set to, that's the language it's going to use, assuming that a translation is available. But you can also force the issue from this menu. For example, I have this very bad, probably incorrect Spanish translation that I just got by running these words through Google Translate. So this is probably all terrible, but it proves the point, is that I have a Spanish translation you can pull up. And another interesting aspect of this is that I've got Unicode text rendering working as well, which is another important piece of doing internationalization. As you can see here on Espanol, I've got the ñ done correctly with a little tilde over it, which is something else I've been wanting to figure out how to do for a very long time. And again, I've got this working properly now on both Linux and Windows, and I'm very, very excited about this. I'm going to switch back to default, which is your system language. And hey, look, we're back to English. I've also had some very kind people offer to do the localizations for a few of these languages for me. And this is a much easier game to do localizations for than Magical Fairy Force is, because that game is very text heavy. There's tons of dialogue and story text and character biographies and all that kind of stuff. Whereas this game is just going to be menus and user interface. So I'm hoping that the localization process will be very cheap and easy to do for this game. And hey, I'll get as many languages as I can get. But the real attraction here is the game. So at this point, I've completed stage 1, at least a first draft of it. And I wanted to show some of that off. So I also have this character select screen I've thrown together. At the moment, there is no real character select. The screen functions, but it doesn't really do anything because I don't have any characters. I'm still using Master System Space Harrier Dude as my player placeholder. But we'll go into it anyway. So here's stage 1, which is kind of meant to evoke stage 1 of Space Harrier in a lot of ways. And I've got these bushes that show up, and I've got Alex Kidd flying out trying to kill me. So these enemies that at the moment are represented by Alex Kidd, I'm imagining as being some sort of large dragonfly type things. And here I'm going up a hill. Aren't the hills cool? So this field is just infested with these dragonfly things, and that's what you're going to be fighting throughout most of the stage. And here's some that shoot at me, again with the Master System fireballs. Actually, I'm not even sure those are Master System. Here's some more shooting at me. We got some more hill action. But I can drop these things and shoot them down. There's some more just flying by harmlessly. So stage 1 is pretty tame, as stage 1 typically tends to be in these sorts of games. But there they go, flying away. I should be getting close to the boss soon. Some more enemies flying out at me. I'll have to get somebody to draw some cool dragonfly things for me here. So the boss is meant to be the nest of these things. That's what this giant Alex kid is going to be eventually. And the nest just keeps spitting out these dragonflies at me. I think I might have it shoot some fireballs too. I haven't decided that yet. But I just have to blast my way through these dragonflies flying out of the nest and keep putting shots into the nest itself. And there is some sort of a graphical glitch here. I'm not sure if it's going to come through in this video, but something keeps blinking up like at really close range. And I have no idea what is causing that to happen. I need to track that down at some point. But I can go ahead and keep pumping shots into this guy, and there we go. He's dead. Now, you notice right now it just looped back around to the beginning of stage 1. And that's because another cool thing I have is a background stage loader. So as you're playing stage 1, it's already loading stage 2 in the background on another thread. And then, so there won't be any load time during the transitions. It'll just smoothly move into the next stage and then start preloading the next one. Right now it just loops back on itself because I don't have a stage 2. But in the long term, we'll get that. And that's something I really couldn't do too well under OpenGL, because OpenGL is not thread aware, so creating all those background textures wouldn't really have worked. But now that I moved to Vulkan, Vulkan's thread safe, so I can do this stuff on a background thread, which is super cool, and I was very excited to try that out and actually see it work. I think there are probably still some glitches and bugs with it, not really sure. But still, it's a really neat feature, and I need to experiment with it some more, especially when I actually have a stage 2 to transition to. So I'll probably go ahead and quit from here. But that's about where the game is at right now. It's really quite functional at this point. It's a pretty well built together Space Harrier clone right now. I think the next thing I need to get done is to actually get player hit reactions going on and go through the whole death cycle and figure out how I'm going to do that. But apart from that, it's looking good, and I can't wait to push forward onto stage 2. I've got some great ideas for later stages, and there's going to be much more complex stuff coming up in later stages. I have a lot of really cool plans, but I intentionally wanted to keep stage 1 pretty tame. You know, put the cool stuff later in the game. And I'll probably start working on stage 2 later this week, maybe next week. You know, it depends on how time goes. I have a lot more time to work on this now because the last few weeks I've just been so busy dealing with the Robin Banks release for the 5200. The Portland Retro Gaming Expo was last weekend, and I went to that. And I've also been getting Magical Fairy Force up on Steam. So the Steam page, the Steam store page for that game is now up. It's not available for sale yet. I still need to get the last of the ending artwork. But very close, almost ready. That thing's almost done and ready to go. But it's, you know, it's essentially program complete at this point. So I've started, you know, pushing on to my next project. But just wanted to get this video out there to show where this game is at. So stay tuned, and later on we'll have some more videos for you. And thanks for watching.